how did you change in the process? How did you change from the woman who, we sat down for several hours and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, this was kind of a big wish,
Yeah.
to the woman who took the reins of something and actually began to act as if and treat it as if and
Yeah.
deliver as if, like, how did you change?
I it just, like, felt right. I think, like, doing the session that we did together, and I remember you were like, "Why are you, like, here? Like, you know what you wanna do." Um, but it was so reassuring to know that I had thought that out, you know what I mean? That I had given that the attention that it deserved. But then, like, I I really just came to believe that I was born, and I don't necessarily believe in any kind of, like, cosmic, I was born to do this work, but I think I was born to do this work. I think this
I
is
don't believe I was born to do this work, but I think I was born to do this
like
work.
like, I don't think, like, everything happens for a reason, but if I can describe myself as being born to do something, like, this is absolutely, like, everything just it felt like turned to gold, and it gave me a lot of confidence, in myself. And I think it was really the first time that, like, who I am had been so important to a job. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Um, and that was really amazing. People just kept saying yes to things that I said, and people kept signing on to my initiatives, and people kept, you know, thanking me for, like, allowing them to be themselves at work and stuff like that. And it was just this constant reassurance that, like, okay, like, I do know what I'm doing. I do have good instincts for this.
mhm.
Um, and I think it also really just helped me, like, kind of in that line, but, like, make the connection between my whole story and where I am now. And that still feels really, really solid. Like, I did a podcast interview last December with this women's organization called Next Up, and
Mhm.
they asked me. The episode was called, like, the language of diversity, and it was really, really good. And they asked me, like, how did you, like, get into this work, blah blah blah, and I was able to this concrete, like, I lived in this kind of home growing up. I, started valuing these things. Blah blah blah, and it just makes sense to me. Like, I feel like, if like this decision were like a paper or something like that, I feel like my reference list is, like, filled out, well cited, like, it feels supported, inherently supported, because it's something that is aligning with my values and my strengths and what I find, interesting, I guess.
Interesting. You mentioned, I didn't want to interrupt you as you were saying it because I wanted your full thought, but that you said something, I'm going to paraphrase it wrong, but you said something about um, you had never understood how important the role was to, who you are, like who I am is like,
Yeah.
I'm bringing, I'm now paraphrasing, but I'm bringing all of me to
Mhm.
this role and who I am is important for the role.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for people. And I'd love for you to talk about because there's a confidence that comes with that. If there's a confidence that says this is what I'm meant to do in the marketplace. I often say this is where I belong in the marketplace.
Exactly.
Um, this is what I was born to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when you have that confidence, it's just it just you it ushers you into another level
Yeah.
of confidence about, I can figure this out. I can step into these, uncertain places. I can take this risk because it's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I
Exactly.
am really curious with you, what how did that shift happen for you? Like even before your VIP day when it was like, oh,
Mm.
I kind of want to do this stuff, or I think I sort of whatever, to you really being like, no, every part of my being is actually designed to do this well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have an opportunity, but every part of me is designed to do this well. How did that shift how you showed up in an environment, in an organization where it was really kind of blank slate? There wasn't a pathway forward. You didn't have mentorship really. Like there wasn't this, none of that was there for you. It was
Yeah.
really, blank slate. How did knowing that this is where I belong change the game for you?
It was just, I mean, it took a long time to learn, and, another, like, incident that I can point back to was, like, the first time that I got a performance review that, like, positively mentioned my extracurricular activities. That was the
Mhm,
first time that someone had, like, taken these things that I felt to be different about me than everybody else. Like, not everyone is, signing up for fun committees and running mustache parties and, like, all this stuff. But when that was framed to me as, like, a strength,
mhm,
what your strengths are, when you're good at something. And, I always felt not like a little useless, but like, here I am at this like company. I don't have like tech experience, blah, blah, blah. And all of my time is just with people.
mhm,
So, I noticed a lot of emotional distress coming from the job where it didn't matter who I was, where I'm just another like project manager. And I just really started to pay attention to like how people react when I am myself doing the things that I'm strongest at. Um, and I think it was like, really just like having the opportunity through our sessions, through like my own work, and I like just kind of having the opportunity to figure out what it is that my strengths are and to see where these are like useful in the job. Like I had to a little convince myself that my strengths were really strengths, and I had to a little bit convince myself that my strengths are valuable to
mhm,
the market that I'm in, I think.
mhm.
Um,
Mm. Once you saw the opportunity that was in front of you, because it
mhm.
was this idea, well, do I quit? Do I go someplace else? Do I, how do I get to this D&I space? And you made the decision that, okay, I'm going to bloom where I'm planted. I'm going to take the reins of this opportunity. What would you say to other women who have a vision, have a goal, have a dream? It's not like handed to you because most of us, it's
Yeah.
not handed to us. An opportunity is presented, and then it's a matter of what are you going to do with that in order to create it into what you want. Well, what would you say to women who are at that place where the vision is clear? Here's where I want to go. How do you make the most of the opportunity that is in front of you?
I would say like I felt, you know, I know the statistics about, like women won't apply for a job unless they feel they meet, 100% of the requirements, things like that. And I knew that I wasn't there yet. I knew that like to really do this career, I needed like a more solid step. But the way that I kind of thought about it, for me, so one, again, there was the confidence of like having talked about this with you, internally knowing that I had again like given that for attention and love. I was like, okay, I can feel confident that the direction that I want to spend my energy on. But then it was like, okay, well, I can't be in my dream position right now. So I am going to learn to gather all of my like strengths, basically like put this big toolbox together for
Mhm,
what I know I will need later. So like making sure that I work on my, delegating skills, making sure that I know how to lead without authority and make committees do what I want them to do. Like, and even just, continuing education, just knowing that I'm like prepping my kit for when I can finally do this
mhm,
made me feel a lot more confident because I was like, well, I don't have to aim for the job right now. I can continue, you know, to build my confidence and build my skill set and working hard on recognizing like the connection between different extracurriculars that I may not have considered valuable to a career before. Like learning how to translate that into like my value for the job was really
mhm,
amazing.
mhm,
Toppers asked me a lot about my outside of the office, like activism experience,
mhm.
which I never, it's on my resume, but many companies just kind of like glossed over that in the interviews. And I think it was because I was able to, you know, again, like to know that this is this is made for me, this is my subject matter, and then to connect that to why that's a strength you know what I
Mhm.
mean, in the corporate world was like
Got it.
everything.
Do
And it
you
was,
think you would have stayed the course? Do you think you would have stayed the course if you weren't confident that this is where you belonged? Like, I remember you were
yeah,
thinking about, should I leave? Should I do something different? Blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
And for some people, when they're not certain, it's like, oh, well, here's another shiny penny, or maybe that'll give me more money, or maybe that'll give me like, and so then you start going in different directions trying
yeah,
to get the brass ring, but you stayed the course in the direction that you wanted to go.
yeah.
And so for you, do you believe that had you not known or believed, because it might not have been a knowing, it might just have been, I got some real strong faith around this. But
Yeah.
if you didn't know that this DNI is my jam, this is where I'm supposed to add value. And so I'm willing to really, as you said, build that toolbox. If you
Mhm.
weren't sure about that, do you think you would have built the toolbox in the same way?
Generally, work is something that really drains me.
Okay.
Um, and like I was able to have that confidence because doing this work gives me energy for the first time, like in
Mhm.
my life. So I think if I hadn't been as sure, I would hope that I would have looked for that in kind of other little parts of what I was doing in order to kind of adjust that direction. Um, but you know, how good it feels to do this work kept me focused on the goal because like once I experienced having a full-time job where my whole entire purpose is to help people, it was, oh my God, it was like doing the most amazing drug in the world. Like every day. I would like get excited about like waking up for work. And like
Mhm.
that's insane to me. That's absolutely insane. So it was, you know, to be able to focus that was great. But I think I still would have done an okay job at finding other things that are good. Um, but this was just very much like a laser focus. And it did help that around that time SAP started to really, really suck. They had just it's like they took everything anyone has ever known about employee retention and just like flushed it down the toilet. Like they're being
Mhm.
so awful. And so
Mhm.
it was a lot easier to make that separation because one, I had seen us be better and wasn't
Mhm.
liking what we were doing. And two, like I very much felt like I deserved better.
Mhm.
And, you know, kind of like that like little anger fire underneath it just like underscored everything that I was doing.
Perfect. Two more questions for you. Tell me about the new role. So tell me about the role at Copper. Like what was the role that you were in before?
Mhm.
What is the role that you are doing now?
Was this role at Coppers is they're not a huge company. They're like 2,500 people. Um, but I will be overseeing diversity and inclusion for everyone.
Mhm.
Uh, I am the end all be all initiator of everything. And that like the opportunity to and they have nothing. They basically have zero going on right now in the DNI space. So the opportunity to build from the ground up to like do that kind of fact finding, get to know you work of like, hey, employees, like, what do you think the issue is? And to, you know that I'm going to have much less red tape is it was like unbelievable.
Mhm.
Um, the salary is also very honestly the only thing that's depressing me is we did the math, the house math, and we're
Mhm.
in a worse place than we were before because of the market. But I, I was crossing my fingers to break six figures. They surpassed six figures. I'm getting a merit increase anyway, and then I get 10% bonus on top of that. So like this is a big money deal,
Mhm.
like hardcore for me. Super cool. Um, I'm getting highly paid for the work that I love. Um, we love it. But yeah, and then the another really really cool thing about Coppers is, you know, with those 2,500 employees, they're a chemical company. They make like chemical to treat big lumber like railroad ties and like telephone
Mhm.
poles and stuff. So they have like plants, like factory plants, and I get to even do diversity and inclusion for like blue collar hourly workers. And
Mhm,
that is just like no one ever cares about them. Like it's a
mhm.
really amazing, population to get to affect. And I get to do, a little bit of like very corporate officey D&I and like a little bit of that stuff. And it's just like shit, man. Like as long as they're not trying to like pull one over on me, and they're gonna turn out to be horrible, like this feels tailor made. Like, goddamn. It's so cool.
I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. I'm
Um,
so excited for you.
Thank
And
you.
what I'm most excited about is because everybody's got crap, life can throw crap at you. And and it's personal crap and it's like and I remember at the time you were going through crap. And yet you were like, but we're gonna do this thing. I gotta figure out my way through. And it
Yeah.
wasn't easy at all. But what I love about you is that you were willing to prepare for next.
Hmm.
You were willing to prepare for next. And for a lot of women, once they even, the first step is figuring out what it is, what the hell do I want to do?
Yeah.
And most women are not confused. Usually it's layers of fear or layers of doubt or layers of whatever that kind of clouds everything.
Hmm.
But once they figure out what they want to do, if it's not, there isn't this A to Z straight line path to it, then
Hmm.
it's all these excuses for why I can't move forward.
Yeah.
Right. And for you, that was not the case. The one decision that you made was, I'm going to turn this opportunity into a gold mine.
Yeah.
And that was the decision that we made going out of that. Like, okay, now you need to go figure out what their gaps are, figure out what their problems are, and deliver on that.
Yeah.
And the opportunity was there for you to do that, but you took advantage of it.
Hmm.
But well, I'm thrilled for you. I'm excited about the money. I'm excited that you're getting highly paid doing work you love. And more importantly, I'm excited about the example that your story sets for people, that the how comes together. And a
Hmm.
lot of times the outcome is better than the vision that you designed, right?
Yeah.
In your mind, it's, I'm going to do this work. I'm going to do it in this way. I'm going to get hired by this company and blah, blah, blah. When in
Yeah.
actuality, that company, all its job was, the only purpose of that company was to set you up
Hmm.
for an even better role. Like it was just a setup. And if I had to get a theme and a headline for
Hmm.
your experience, it is, it's life in the setup. And
Hmm.
oftentimes we don't have the faith in the moment to trust that we're being set up for exactly what we want. Like who would have thought in your mind you would have been doing DEI in the midst of this big, highly bureaucratic organization, and who knows what your level of impact and influence might have been even in that role. And
Yeah.
then now you are head honcho for the entire organization, and you're
Yeah.
getting to craft their culture and all of that from scratch.
Yeah.
Like the level of impact, the level of influence, even then opening that up to blue collar, employees as well, in a way that is so critical. Like that population, you were right, gets so left out sometimes, but yet
Mhm.
it's a huge part of society,
Yeah.
right? And so the impact that you're going to have goes beyond the job. It goes beyond the workplace. You're going to impact these people's families and their lives and their friendships and how they interact in their communities and their neighborhoods and all of that,
Hmm.
because you were willing to take the opportunity that was in front of you.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. It like
So
it
excited for you.
it feels so good. And I think like something that you said just now like really struck me. Like with the rest of the mental health work that I've been doing, it's gotten a lot better. Oh my fucking God. Like even with all the things that have happened this year, like it's never been as bad as last year.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of that been through like meditation, and continuous therapy. And one thing that I've really latched onto that like meditation and mindfulness teaches is that rigidity doesn't work. that, you know, the only thing that's constant is change. So the more we have the ability to, you know, not internalize what's going on
Mhm,
and, you know, either like work towards a goal or just able to like go with the flow, the easier everything is, like mental health wise and career wise. And I've always very much felt like I had a good ability to just get the thing done. Like if you tell me the goal, I'll figure out the way there. But you know you know that really struck me when you said that, because I think that, you know, has brought everything together is just my ability to be like, okay, I don't need a map. I just need a compass. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
I'll, I'll figure it out. And that flexibility has served me super, super well so far.
mhm,
And I hope it will continue to.
mhm, absolutely. So in closing, to, if you were talking to someone who was considering doing a
Mhm,
VIP day, considering doing a Perfect Work Academy, considering doing any work with me, what
mhm.
would you say to them that would help them get over the hump?
I would say one, just do it. But like two, like it like more than anything, more than any of this like real life, even like reinforcement or whatever, for somebody like me who is very concerned with, am I making the right move, you know, in a bunch of different ways, like you saw me like so quickly, and you were never judgmental, you were always like open and curious and mindful, and it, you know, the way that like we were able to interact with each other just gave me the confidence. I had looked at all my options. I had gotten my feelings out to somebody who knows how to navigate like these type of things. Like I can't tell you how many times I've used the phrase paying for expertise, like since since we were together. Like I said, paying for expertise at my Copper's interview.
Mhm,
Um, and it was just like, you know, it's worth, you know, however many thousands of dollars it was to just eliminate the doubt and to find something, even if we didn't like decide on a career path, to find something that I can really latch on to.
mhm,
And the, you know, the things we did together really helped kind of like narrow that down into my strengths. And it, you know, it gave me a better look at like the first
mhm,
look at myself of like, hey, you have a lot here. And since those things were, again, already my strengths, already morally aligned with what I want, like it wasn't even work
mhm.
to to grab onto those, right? Like the hardest work was, you know, going through the assessments, like it's just like reaping rewards. It was, I mean, I have and will continue to recommend you to anybody.
Thank you. It was an honor. I cannot tell you how excited I was to get your one-line email. I was like, "What?"
I was
I felt bad because it took me a few days to reply, and I was like, "I just gotta talk to her. I just gotta
yeah,
talk to her." And I'm so excited for you. I'm so proud of you because
thank
I
you.
know what it took for you to grab hold of your life. Like, in the everyday ugly moments, I know what that took.
Mhm.
And that alone is just when you're courageous enough to show up for your life every day,
Yeah.
that is special. But more importantly, I believe that with you being where you belong in the marketplace, so many lives are going to change. It's not just, and that's why I do this work, because I
Mhm.
do believe that there's a place where everybody belongs. And when you
Mhm.
are where you belong, it's the highest and best good for everybody involved. It's not about the metrics of DEI. Do we have enough diversity? Do we have enough representation and all of that? That's important,
Mhm.
but it is about lives being changed. You know,
Absolutely.
the culture that you're going to create at that organization and how people are going to feel when they come to work, and that sense of belonging and that sense of care, it is going to trickle down to every part of their lives. And to have someone like you who cares about that, who understands the pain of that, Like there's a compassion that you bring that is beyond the metrics and beyond the numbers. And that's why you are supposed to be in that role and not just cog in the wheel of the role. You've been
Mhm.
given a platform where you are at the head of that and that you've grown enough to be able to lead it.
Yeah.
You've developed to then earn that privilege to be able to care and bring that care into the marketplace.
Thank
And you
you.
get to make that a model. This isn't going to be your last stop likely.
Yeah.
But you get to make that a model for how other people do that work in their companies. And so the far reaching impact, the ripple effect can be beyond anything you could imagine. But it's because you belong there. And I'm so excited for you for doing the work. So kudos, my dear. Kudos.
Thank
Kudos.
that
So
that so I mean, I was just so ready to like tell you. Like I was just I don't know. And I was just it it just feels good. It feels good and I'm able to feel so confident about like steps that I took, like, doing the VIP day and stuff like that because I was like, I can see exactly, how they got me here. But like, I don't know, I want to thank you too because like again, like you did see me during an insanely vulnerable time and you absolutely like worked with what was there and that was so important. Like, you know, I couldn't have opened up at that time to a lot of people and like you were just like let's do this for you and let's focus on you and let's, genuinely figuring it out, like no agenda, no whatever, just like a gentle, like non-judgmental curiosity about let's figure out what we're working with. And it was just like that shit was life changing. You're definitely doing what you're supposed to be doing.